You think you're gonna do it?
Let's get them prayer hands in the chat, y'all. Prayer hands in the chat.
I think I see you into 32. Are you going to need
Some water.
We got water.
You think you're gonna do it?
Send our prayers out to them people. Everybody that lost their homes. Oh, man, it's messed up. Let's go see what they doing in Pasadena, man. Let's check out, let's see. See if we can pull up some more. What's going on with this, man? Let's check it out.
Million gallons of water could have been used in this fight.
The question is about the Santa Ynez Reservoir being empty. There's been a lot of questions about that.
Sure. So my stance on this is when a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped. That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants. Please defer that to DWP or whomever controls that part. But I can tell you the resiliency of our firefighters, if there's no water, they're going to go find water. They're going to figure out a way to do the best they can with what they've got in a very dynamic situation.
Why wasn't no water in the fire hydrant? That's crazy. It should have been water in them.
I know you expressed concerns that those DWP hydrants would not be inspected thoroughly because of the budget cuts.
That is something to discuss, and we're going to look into that in regard to how we can ensure there's going to be water when we need it. But in the end, you know, I'm going to defer that to DWP and whomever else controls the supply. I can guarantee you that when our firefighters showed up on that day with what they had, they did absolutely everything they could do to rescue and to save people's lives and property. And that's the bottom line. Now let's get them what they need to do their jobs. And
let's get them water, Chief, because I was with your firefighters and they literally were watching a house burn down with pain in their eyes, not being able to do anything except pull water from a swimming pool to try to save a nearby structure that wasn't burning, and literally watching a house burn to the ground because they had no water.
That's crazy, man. They ain't got no water. Sound like a conspiracy to me.
That's exactly right. But did they continue to work? And did they continue to do what they had to do the best they could with what they had? Yes.
Chief
Follow-up.
Crowley, thank you very much for talking to us. We appreciate it. I believe we have a follow-up question from the studio.
Question on that reservoir issue. Is the fire department aware of when these resources are depleted, just like that reservoir had no water? Was she aware of that fact, that it was under construction and there was no water there?
Sandra Endo, one of our anchors, wants to know if the department is advised that the Santa Ynez Reservoir was going to be emptied. Were you aware that there was no water there?
No, we weren't aware of that.
They don't have to advise you?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So you had no idea that there wasn't such needed resource?
No, we weren't.
Chief Kristen Crowley, again, Chief of the Los Angeles City Fire Department, thank you for talking to us. I know it's been a very exhaustive, emotional, and I imagine you're mad, and I imagine you're sad. You may not want to talk about that anger or that disappointment, but I can see it in your eyes. Thank you. Thank you for talking to us.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll send it back to you.
That's messed up, man.
One of the issues they've been having that you heard about earlier in the news conference is the lack of water. The water is just so scarce. One issue, they usually when they fight these wildfires, what they have is they have the air attack. We haven't had the air attack. One, because the presidential, or I mean, not the presidential, it's because the winds. We haven't had the air attack because of the winds in a lot of places. So they've been relying on water from the fire hydrants. But those hydrants, they're not made to use this much water hours and hours at a time. That's one thing the director of LA County's Public Works was trying to stress today. They're not set up to have this much water.
They should be set up. We just gave $80 billion to another country. We should have everything we need to fight this or any disaster that we have out here.
Used hour after hour after hour, like we've been seeing here in Southern California with these fires. So they are asking, let's take a look at this one. We hear a lot of popping here from this home. Looks like it was a beautiful little home here on Glen Avenue. But he's asking people, especially when you're evacuating, not only to turn off your gas, turn off your water, because they need every ounce of water and water pressure they can get to fight these fires. Again, this is Glen Avenue in Montana here in Pasadena, and if we go down the street, we see firefighters in the backyard of another home. They're just trying to do what they can to protect the homes that are still standing, that don't have active fire. We've seen firefighters going in the backyards of some of these homes, doing some whatever protection they can to try to help them before any of the fire spreads. But it is a difficult thing. When I first pulled up into the neighborhood in my car, I couldn't get to this area. I was on the other side, about a block and a half away. There was a house on fire on that side, but the winds, even though the winds have died down, they're not that strong right now. They were pushing the embers and the fire across the street. So it's very likely some of those embers have landed on other homes farther away from where we're at. Let's hope that's not the case, but it's still an issue of this active fire. But I can say right now, as we're standing here, not a lot of strong winds in the area at this moment. But as we've heard, these can pick up. But a bad situation here in Pasadena as the fire has spread to this neighborhood here. Frank?
If I'm not mistaken, but you're in the neighborhood called Muir Heights, or just about. So if you're standing at the Brookside Golf Club, so near the Rose Bowl, and look off to your northeast, just over the 210 freeway, that's where you are right now. So this is Pasadena proper. This is not up in the area where this is south of where Annie Rose was. Annie Rose was just up Lincoln from your location, which is closer to where Station 12 is, LA County Station 12. But this is in Pasadena, Muir Heights neighborhood, and boy, this is just devastating. This is someone's house.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Chip, I think you mentioned this when you arrived, that this is a newly evacuated neighborhood. We know 32,000 residents are under evacuation orders, but I believe you said this neighborhood was just given the orders not long ago.
Yeah, I'm only assuming that. I don't know when the order actually went out. I just know when I pulled in, the police car was going around with the loudspeaker telling people to get out, and people were coming out of their homes, and the fire was not in. This is maybe 2 blocks away from here. The fire wasn't in that area yet, and so people were walking outside of their homes, and I could see them looking, going, huh, what? But they were obviously coming out, and some of them I saw already had their cars kind of parked backwards in their driveways to try to, they were ready to go if the order came. But it did seem like...
I see you guys in the chat. Man, y'all put a prayer in the chat, man. Put them prayer hands in the chat.
Was fairly recent just from what I saw. I haven't been able to talk to anyone officially about when the actual order was put out. But right down here, if we could, Andre, I don't know if you can see it because it's so smoky down here. You see there's a big tree on fire in front of this house. It looks like a resident has a hose, a garden hose. He's trying to get some of the flames out of that tree right in front of his, I'm assuming it's his property or his house right over there. You see there's 2 trees that now have flames on them in front of these houses over here. So you have some residents over there that's on the other side of these where these wires are down over here. And one thing to be aware of, we heard them talk about it at the news conference about, we're not just concerned about fire right now, but about limbs and trees falling. As in this neighborhood, as we were coming in, we saw a lot of big branches on the road that had fallen down probably during the wind part of this windstorm, or the windstorm. So you saw that. Now we're getting a little breeze. I said it was not windy a minute ago. Right now we're getting a little bit of a gust. So it comes, it goes, it's back, and the fire's still a big problem here in Pasadena. And look at the wires, blowing here with the wind.
And Chip, are those?
Here we go again. I'm gonna turn my head a little bit. I just gotta.
We're hoping those wires are de-energized there. Obviously, that's a tremendous danger if they're not. Those firefighters that we can now barely see through the smoke, were they able to find a hydrant that had water? I don't see them.
Well, the one, I'll show you if we turn around here, Andre, the one where we were talking about that, it was this one down here, and the fire truck was coming from down the street where there's another house on fire. So I don't know if they had basically already had that one in use, but he was coming down the street walking, asking people, is there another fire hydrant nearby? And then we came around the corner, he saw this one, and they immediately brought the truck over and hooked it to this one. And it does look like there is water coming out of that hydrant, and they're probably taking it down to that house. Like I said, these aren't the only houses. Maybe we can walk, if we can, Andre. We'll go around the corner here. This is one street. This is Glen Avenue. Over here is Montana, and again, there's a resident in front of their home here in Montana watering down.
Shout out to all our firefighters that's out there doing a magnificent job with putting these fires out. All the prisoners that's out there on first response out there putting these fires out, man. Shout out to our fire departments.
The property, the front of their property, but over here to the right on Montana, this is where that house was that I was talking about. I was trying to come down this way over here. I was trying to get through this street, but this house right over here, you can see it's still burning. The flames were so high, and at the time the wind was blowing some of the flames and the smoke over the street. So it was impossible to pass, and plus obviously the fire trucks were here. Oh, and there it goes, look there. Oh, the water, you could just see the water go through the hose there. So that hose definitely working there. But anyway, so now the funny thing is, we heard about the shifting wind, not a funny thing, but look at if you could, Andre, see the smoke where it's going now? It looks like it's actually blowing a different direction than it was when I got here. When I got here, it was, watch your step, watch hose. As I got here, it was blowing over the street. Now it seems to be blowing the opposite direction. And if we come a little farther, Andre, we can see the backyard of one of these homes here. This is now we're on Montana, at Montana and Glen, but on Montana. This is, we kind of saw the home next to this one on Glen was on fire. Now we're on Montana. I can't tell if that one back there is still the one on Glen or if it's actually caught part of this property here on Montana. But just, resources stretched completely thin. I mean, there are
but
not
you can
probably
see
not
they
enough
are
firefighters
trying.
in California
They've
to
got
attack all these
they've
fires.
got the
Oh, yeah.
hoses. They got water in it, and you can see the water attack that's happening and doing their
Actually,
best. Yeah.
Here we go. Here you go. You want to see the water? Here
Yes.
you go.
Yeah.
They are getting it from the back right here. So.
And it's such a
Look at that,
difficult
doing
thing.
what they can. And it's,
and doing what they can. And honestly, at this point, it's almost impossible to save the home that's ablaze. They're trying to keep the flames from reaching the other homes that are not on fire. We saw a homeowner there a moment ago.
Because those embers will go. Yeah.
We saw the homeowner a moment ago with the garden hose, and while that can be effective in knocking down small spot fires, we've heard from officials over and over again that trying to pre-wet your roof or your lawn, that's not very effective in these kinds of conditions, because the fire is preheating ahead of it. The dry conditions, essentially the water is evaporating before the fire gets there.
Man, you got to have heart to do that kind of job. You got to have heart for this job right here.
And look at you see the water
so what is
stopping
happening now?
Starting. Yeah. And maybe Chip will go talk to them, but during that press conference, look, he's going, I don't know, that it's unsustainable to fight multiple wildfires from our hydrants, that they just don't have the water.
They don't have the water,
right.
and then you lose the pressure.
And the pressure.
And in this case, they're changing out the nozzle. I don't know if this is simply a case of that and equipment malfunction, but no, you see that there is no water pressure going through it right now. Maybe they'll fire it back up in a moment.
I think he asked them to hold the water pressure up while they changed to the nozzle there. So they stopped it for a while so they could change that. Is what I.
And is that a propane tank or something in the foreground there? That's also one of the dangers, isn't it, Chip?
That would make sense too, because we've heard quite a bit of popping, in different areas, and you never know what it is. But yeah, it does look like maybe a burned out propane tank. It's hard to tell. It's completely charred, whatever it is. But when I was walking over here, because I had to park a little ways down to get over here, you just hear pop, pop, pop. You don't, and some of them louder than others, and you don't know exactly what all that means. But there they go. They're getting that water pressure again. They're trying to get this one out. And look at that. There comes some of the smoke on us a little bit there. But Andre, I don't know if you could just pan over this way, you can see this house we're in the driveway of. It seems to be fine, but there's a garage attached to it right here that is completely engulfed. And we just heard another pop there.
Yeah.
So we're going to back up a little bit here.
Often
one of the biggest
dangers in these homes is the eaves.
Yeah.
The embers fly into the eaves of the home, and once that happens, it is very difficult in these wind-driven fires to stop it. And
well, the beauty of the Pasadena architecture is now turning out to be a detriment because of these homes that were built in the 1900s, 1920s, 1930s. There are eaves, there are rafters, there are openings. It's the style, if you will, of the homes. And there's a lot of post-World War II concrete homes as well, but there's a lot of openings, and these things become very flammable. And you could be seeing embers with the ember spray that go through one of those eaves. They can sit for 15, 20 minutes, an hour, and then catch fire a little bit later on. So even though you think you could be in the clear, it's what you really can't see that is quite dangerous.
And I think as we look at this too, to think about the fact that this fire has been burning since 6:30 p.m. last night, and you can think about some of these firefighters who have been on the job for hours and hours, and just fighting through I would imagine the hunger, the fatigue, all of it, to save life first, structure second, and it really is remarkable. And even this morning they talked to some firefighters, and you could just see it in their face.
Yeah, but just like the other gentleman that Annie Rose was interviewing earlier, a lot of the firemen, a lot of the police enforcement there in Pasadena, they're homegrown. So this means this hits home. This is personal to them, very much so. They know these neighborhoods very well. They live in these neighborhoods. They have friends and family that are in these neighborhoods. So they're going to stay.
This is live, so you guys, y'all can send a prayer out to these people, man. Put them prayers up in the chat, man. Y'all send y'all prayers out to these people. A lot of people lost everything. I happen to know a couple of people that lost a house in Pasadena, man. Y'all send y'all prayers out to these people, man.
Stay up without sleeping. They're going to stay up without rest or eating because they have to try and battle this blaze. And unfortunately, it's just been a massive blaze, and it's been something that Mother Nature, you just can't stop her when it comes to 100-mile-per-hour winds.
Chip, we're seeing this battle happening right here with these firefighters doing their best. Can you pull out and show us the bigger picture? Is it just this home that is on fire? Are there others around it that are ablaze?
Yes, there's a lot of them. Before we pull out, let me just make one point. See this area right here? They actually, it looks like they successfully got a big chunk of this part of the fire out. But look how much water it took to get one little part of one little house out. They've got multiple houses here on fire in just this little neighborhood. But yeah, just behind over there, that's one. There's actually, you can see 1, 2 houses from this angle. You can see the backyards. But let's come over, Andre, if we could, let's walk out here into the street, and we'll show you some of the others. As we said, we're on, if you're just joining us, we're in Pasadena, city of Pasadena. We're near Montana and Glen Avenue, where several homes are on fire in this neighborhood. Watch your step there, Andre. And we did hear, if we look over this way, this is Montana. You can see this house has been going since I got here. So that's been going for at least 30 minutes or so. It looks like they're probably just going to, I don't know, no, maybe they won't let it just burn out, because like you said, Frank, we saw them, this one that they were just on seems like it was largely lost, but they want to get some of the flames out so it doesn't blow an ember over onto another home and start that home on fire. So they're doing what they can. If we could, Andre, just look over here real quick. Here's another thing going on. They've been chopping down some of the trees near the homes. So some of these limbs, some of these trees that are kind of overhanging or close to some of the homes, they've got guys over here that have been chainsawing, getting those trees taken care of. So if those trees catch on fire, it's less likely the fire will get to the house, even though this particular house right behind it, there's maybe a detached, I couldn't tell if it was detached or attached, I think it was detached, but a garage right behind it. That garage is on fire. The home at the moment looks like it has been saved so far, and let's hope that continues to be the case. Now, if we continue down here, watch your step again, Honor, we got some hoses and tree limbs in the street. This house over here, this is like I said, the one where the winds have shifted directions since we got here. When we first got here, the smoke and the flames from that were being blown so hard, this whole street, you could hardly see that fire truck right here in the street. It was blowing over the street. And I couldn't come through this way, so I went around. Now, the winds have shifted. It's blowing the opposite direction. And just a beautiful looking home. I mean, a beautiful looking home. It looks like the one next to it is okay for now. So you got 2 homes right next to each other, but there is a second home on fire. So it looks like actually 1 home completely burned down over here. It doesn't even look like a home right now. You see the, watch your step again. You see the chimney over here on the home next to it. That's about all that's left on the home next to it. This one, unfortunately gone. The one right next to it, though, again, we're on Montana here in Pasadena. It is looking like it's doing okay for now. You can see the firefighter doing a little protection right here, watering this area here in between the homes, getting some of the bushes there. But so this is 1 Street, Montana. Glen, which is down around the corner, just around the corner from here, there were at least 3 or 4 houses on Glen that were on fire, fully engulfed as well. So you've got those houses on Glen, 3 here on Montana, and that's just the area we've been able to walk around. So there could be more homes north of where we're at. I'm not sure because, like I said, we kind of got here and started just filming this. We haven't been around the whole area. Watch your step behind there. But yeah, this is, let's see. This is, okay, so we're between Mentone and Glen on Montana here is where this one's. Oh, thank you. Thank you. He was just giving us a warning to watch out for the power lines here. Thank you for that. And you can see, yeah, there's some lines right down there in the yard. So you've got to be aware. You're walking around here and talking about those. You see some tree limbs over here. If you could in the front yard over there, Andre, there's some tree limbs, like I said, and as you're driving down the streets in this area, there are tree limbs on every street, just down in the street. So just a lot of issues going on, but the biggest right now trying to get all these fires out here in the city of Pasadena, where it appears the Eaton fire has reached.
Wow. That is crazy.
Gobby. I'm always in a box. What's in the box? What's in the box? It's Skyfox. Skyfox is in the box. Wow. Now you're going to tell me, don't worry. Don't worry that pretty little head of yours. There it is.
Resources in terms of personnel and funding has gone down while the city's needs have gone up.
This is a much bigger conversation, and I think it's a conversation that's going to be had with our leadership, not just our city leadership, but also the state's leadership. That, you know, this is a city that has grown by leaps and bounds. There's been so much development, and all of the infrastructure that we've had in all of these neighborhoods hasn't even kept up with the number of homes that have been built in this area. So these are all conversations that we are going to be having in the future. How can we prevent this, especially when they start rebuilding that area, when they start rebuilding all of the infrastructure there? If they're going to put homes back there, how are they going to adequately protect the people who are living in those neighborhoods?
I know some of this is, it's almost like common sense. You think, well, if things are growing, you don't cut from it, you add to it, right? So it is very frustrating when you hear some of this. But I think one of the most mind-boggling things, at least for me, Sandra, I'm sure you agree, was when we asked Gigi to press her on the reservoir topic, the Santa Ynez Reservoir, and how it's been empty. It's been closed for repairs, I believe, for roof repair of some sort. And she said that they were unaware that the reservoir was empty. 117 million gallons of water, and that reservoir was empty when those firefighters needed that water.
It's an alarming statement for someone to make, right? Especially when they said that, you know, we knew well beforehand that something like this was going to happen. And you heard Caruso talking about the lack of water in reservoirs and how that could have helped a situation like this. You have to wonder, you know, how prepared were our leaders before this? So those are more, you know, they need to continue to ask those questions and figure out, you know, what fell through the cracks there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of
they stealing the money. That's what happened. They stealing the money.
frustrated members of the community, and you can understand why. Bob, thank you, which leads us to this. This has been circulating. I'm sure many people have come across this online. A new change.org petition, which is calling for Mayor Karen Bass to resign. Critics say she failed due to lead during this devastating time, which has left the city in a crisis mode. Petition organizers are accusing her of mismanaging disaster funds, neglecting basic resources, and being absent when leadership was needed most. That petition demand for her resignation, a full investigation, and a better disaster plan.
And let's take a live look right now at crews fighting the Palisades fire. We are not out of the woods yet, because take a look at this. We see open flames, a lot of smoke, and CAL FIRE is releasing some interesting data at this point. So since January 7th, CAL FIRE's aviation fleet has dropped more than 59,000 gallons of retardant alone, over 72,000 gallons of water, and logged over 75 flight hours, including 8 of those hours in nighttime operations, as the weather has allowed. So CAL FIRE's new C-130 air tanker T-122 has also flown over 10 hours, dropping more than 30,000 gallons of retardant. And we should note that LADWP is asking the residents of Palisades do not drink the tap water that's in the Palisades zip code 907-272, and also the adjacent communities there with the service areas north of San Vicente Boulevard. Again, don't drink the tap water, resort to bottled water.
All right, we're also keeping track of how you can help and where you can go and what you can give, right? Amanda, you've been busy. So many of our viewers, thankfully, have been providing you with that information.
Yes, thank you. All morning long, I'm so grateful for all of your direct messages on social media and emails, including one from a founder and CEO of an organization based in Orange County. So we've been sharing these organizations that are collecting materials for those in need, from clothing to food, water, and more. And many of these organizations are here in LA County, but we do know our Orange County friends also want to help. They might be discouraged from getting too close to the fires and coming up here. That's where Riverbank comes in. It's a nonprofit that serves all of Southern California and delivers supplies for you. Joining us now over the phone is Nadia Caparaso. She is the founder of this organization. Hi, Nadia.
Hey, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for emailing me today. I was saying I was looking for an organization in Orange County that is collecting materials. So tell me how you are helping out and collecting this weekend.
Well, what we are doing is we are having a drive-through drive tomorrow, Saturday from 8 to 1 at Harbor Point Church, which is my home church. They have graciously offered to let us have their whole parking lot to make it really easy for people to come and drive through and drop off the items that we've already been getting requests from the social workers that we work with every day, the most essential items.
And these items that you need the most right now, tell me what those are.
So they're going to be items for babies, diapers, formulas, wipes, baby blankets, bottles, that kind of stuff, personal care items, shampoo, deodorant, and then also non-perishable.
Prayers in the chat, y'all. These people need our prayers. Let's get them prayers in the chat. Pray for these people, man. They definitely need prayer.
Snack foods, like preferably some healthy snacks, and then new clothes, new blankets. One of our really important things that we do is to help people restore their dignity when they're going through a crisis, and this is going to be something ongoing in the weeks and months and even years to come, but we're really grateful and excited for all the requests that we've been getting, so we're hosting this drive tomorrow.
You are a member of the Harbor Point Church, and you're obviously a resident of Orange County. Can you tell me how Orange County is eager to help those in need here in LA?
Well, you're our neighbors, and we love our neighbor. So right now, this means that everyone in LA is our close neighbor. And part of our heart is to help the most vulnerable. And right now, those are people who have been impacted and devastated by these wildfires. So we're here stepping up today, but we're going to be here in the weeks and months ahead as well.
We really appreciate that. And the Riverbank organization helps year-round for so many causes. Tell us a little bit about Riverbank.
So, yeah, we help the most vulnerable, which outside of a natural disaster like this, we help a lot of people, any phase of the foster care system, babies to aged out. We help the elderly. We help survivors of human trafficking. And this is what we do every day. We deliver physical items to them in crisis. We provide full move-ins to people who are getting out of whatever trafficking rehabilitation program.
So
we provide furniture and appliances. So this is what we do all year round, but specifically now we're opening our hearts and our mission specifically to focus on this horrible natural disaster.
And we're so appreciative of you. Thank you for watching us this morning. We put the call out to somebody in Orange County to help give us a location where residents down there can donate. And you emailed me right away, and I want to thank you personally so much for doing that. So we're going to put the information on the screen again. For those that are going to be in Orange County this weekend, who live in Orange County, you have things that you can donate on your screen. Let's put that up one more time. The location, it's the Harbor Point Church in San Juan Capistrano. Absolutely. What times should people expect to do drop-offs, Nadia?
They can come from 8 to 1, and I also want to encourage, like I said, this is going to be an ongoing effort that it's going to take a long time, and it's going to take a lot of support. So please connect with us on social media, and if you have bigger items or other items that you want to donate, please reach out to us directly, and we want to accommodate all those as well.
Thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you for your heart. Thank you so much for reaching out to me, Nadia. If you have any questions, of course, if you have any questions, you can contact Riverbank.org on Instagram. Nadia, thank you so much for founding this organization and for doing what you can to help us here in LA.
Thank you so much. It's our joy.
Thank you.
Really, we keep repeating this, but of course, this is a prime example of when there is a terrible disaster, you see the best in humanity come forward.
Oh, absolutely.
Unfortunately, there's some instances where that's the opposite, right?
Sure.
But for the most part, you have so many wonderful people trying to do their part and to
goodness,
you know, you feel helpless, so you channel that energy towards something.
I just had a viewer direct message me on Instagram saying that they got $100 gift card to Costco for Christmas, but they want to donate it to the fire department.
That's really nice.
I mean, everyone's just doing their part right now.
And everything helps.
Everything does help.
Okay. We're going to go to
Let's go back to Gigi, who just had an incredible interview with the fire chief with some real eye-opening answers you were able to get from her, Gigi, and just some of those tough questions you were asking, really necessary at this time.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good afternoon. Sorry, a lot of noise here in downtown Los Angeles. We're right at City Hall and in front of where Los Angeles City Fire has their headquarters. We appreciate the chief of LA City Fire, Kristen Crowley's candor, her honesty, her emotion. Today she spoke out. These have been trying times for the city fire department, which with the city of Los Angeles has come under fire and a lot of criticism about the way these fires have been handled. But the chief, during our interview, showed me memos that date back to the 3 years she's been in office, where she has been addressing the budget issues, where she has been addressing the concerns she had. She spelled it all out in those memos. The budget cuts that the city made, especially in the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget, she wrote would severely impede the fire department's ability to respond to emergencies like wildfires, earthquakes, and more. As a matter of fact, she says they're underfunded, they're understaffed. According to firefighter requirements, the industry standard, you have to have 1.8 firefighters per a certain amount of residents in a city. Well, LA City Fire failed that. They have half the firefighters that we need in the city according to industry standards. And all of this was shown to me and backed up with documentation. We discussed the criticism. We discussed the response from LA City Fire. And most importantly, we discussed the fact that many people say the city of Los Angeles failed our fire department.
My message is the fire department needs to be properly funded.
And it's not.
It's not at this point, and we've got the justification. We know where our gaps in service are. We know we need 62 new fire stations. We need to double the size of our firefighters. The growth of this city since 1960 has doubled, and we have less fire stations. The fire department needs to be funded appropriately so that I can look any community member in the eye and say, your LAFD's got your back.
And right now you can't?
Right now, no.
Did they fail you?
Yes.
Did they fail you? Yes. Those are very strong words for the fire chief, but she is facing it head on. She knows about the criticism that is out there in light of all these fires, and she wants people to know what the fire
along with Ventura County sheriffs, who was a lead in the Kenneth fire investigation, but they responded, they interviewed this suspect. After the interview and additional investigative steps, looking at some additional evidence that was present, they made the determination that there was not enough probable cause to arrest this person on arson or suspicion of arson, and therefore this person was arrested on a felony probation violation. This investigation is ongoing, however, and I'd like to thank those community members that were involved in this and helping us bring this person to our attention, and so we can have an ongoing investigation. The second point I want to talk about is for any of those people looking for loved ones or missing people related specifically to the Palisades fire. Now, the county is also doing this for the Eaton fire, but for the city of Los Angeles, we've stood up a family assistance center. This center is located at Chevy Hills Recreation Center, and it's at 2551 Motor Avenue. It's going to be open today from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We will have 10 officers there ready to receive anyone who needs to report a missing person related to the Palisades fire. We will also have the American Red Cross, the Mayor's Crisis Response Team, the LA County Medical Examiner's Office, and the LA County Department of Mental Health. They will be there to help support, answer questions, and provide information as necessary. Again, I just want to emphasize this is for missing people related to Palisades fire. This is not for any other issues related to the fire. LAPD and our law enforcement partners are actively maintaining law and order in the areas impacted by the fires. We're patrolling these areas to deter criminal activity and to continue to ensure public safety. Today, we're deploying 210 officers in these impacted areas. This deployment includes our partners from LA Port PD and LAWA PD, and I'm thankful for their support. Again, protecting our homes, businesses in evacuated and vulnerable zones are our priority, and we will continue to ensure that no one takes advantage of these situations. You've heard this message before, but I'm going to say it again because it's so important and so critical. Looting has zero tolerance. Looting or exploiting in the disaster areas will not be tolerated. Anybody caught looting or committing crimes in the affected areas will be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. We'll remain vigilant and patrol these areas and ensure that we can mitigate any activity like this. And again, if you haven't already done so, you will start seeing in the city of Los Angeles the National Guard being deployed at the Palisades fire. Their role is going to be traffic control, managing roadways to ensure access to affected areas is restricted to authorized personnel only. They're going to be manning critical infrastructure security, as well as doing checkpoints and verifying credentials for those for ingress and egress. And lastly, these measures, controlling access, they are necessary. I just want the communities to know they are necessary for public safety and for proper community recovery. They are inconvenience, but it's something that we have to do. Residents are encouraged to call 911 if they see any suspicious activity. Law enforcement, National Guard, and other first responders are here to support this community and ensure their safety in a difficult time. Our commitment remains steadfast to restoring safety and normalcy as quickly as possible. Your cooperation and resilience from the community are greatly appreciated. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman.
Thank you and good morning. The District Attorney's Office will be considering up to now 5 different types of cases that will eventually be presented from law enforcement. Let's start with arson. If it is determined that there is a man-made and intentional setting of any of the fires involved in this situation, the people who committed this arson will be arrested, they will be prosecuted, and they will be punished to the full extent of the law. Right now, obviously, law enforcement and the firefighters are focused on containing these properties, saving lives, saving homes. But eventually we will get to the causes of those fires, and in that part the DA's office will be working with law enforcement to go after anyone who is guilty of the crime of arson. Second types of crimes. If people are going to violate this curfew restriction and they get arrested, they will be prosecuted. Let me back up what the sheriff has said. In order to protect the homes of people who've been ordered to leave those homes, the sheriff, the Los Angeles Police Department, and local law enforcement is going to be working overtime to protect your home. In that way, if you violate the curfew, you will be arrested and then you will be prosecuted by the district attorney's office. Third issue, looting. Looting is a despicable crime. For the people who've already been arrested, please know that this is not going to end well. You will be punished to the full extent of the law, and I'm sending this warning message out again. If you want to take and go ahead and take advantage of people who have tragically suffered enormous losses in this county, the district attorney's office, working with law enforcement, will make sure you are arrested, you are prosecuted, and you are maximally punished. Drones. If you're thinking that it's fun to send a drone up in the area for your own amusement, or you want to get information that nobody else can get, and you do it in one of these areas for which drones are not permitted, I'll repeat one more time. You will be arrested, you will be prosecuted, and you will be punished to the full extent of the law. And the last type of crime that we'll be looking at are scams, and we're already seeing them. We're seeing people being targeted in GoFundMe scams by people who are trying to entice people to give money to people who have suffered, when the people who are arranging this GoFundMe page are nothing but scammers. You must be aware of who you are being approached by and who you actually can go ahead and give your money to if you want to help them. We're going to see that eventually with insurance scams. We'll see it with government benefit scams, and yes, they are going to target the people who have been tragically affected, and you cannot allow them to do it.
Well, you ain't going to be able to stop that. Everything you were saying up until that, you ain't going to stop that. They finna get that money, sir, so you're going to have to put your police officer on the task, because they're going to get that bread. You can believe that.
Stations that you can, if you want to, contribute to, and it does it in both English and Spanish. Also, you can go to the LAFD.gov's website as well. But my message to the public is beware. These scammers look at this as an opportunity. Do not let them take advantage of you. And one more message to the scammers: you will be arrested, you will be prosecuted, and you will be punished to the maximum extent possible. I'd like now to introduce California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara.
Thank you. Before I begin, I want to publicly thank the insurance commissioners from across the nation and the international insurance supervisors who have offered assistance and support during this difficult time. My heart goes out to my fellow Angelinos and to the firefighters currently battling these blazes. Let me be clear, my top priority is to protect all affected people during this crisis and assist in their insurance recovery. My primary concern at this very moment is to ensure that wildfire survivors receive the insurance benefits to which they are entitled to as soon as possible. I understand that this may be new and the extent of the calamity here in Southern California, and compounded by the insurance and financial stresses that these wildfires have caused. However, at the Department of Insurance, we have been confronting wildfires and other natural disasters throughout our entire state for a very long time, making us, unfortunately, response experts. Now is the time for you to focus on your family and on your health. The last thing you should be worrying about is your insurance. Here's what I've done to protect our wildfire victims to date. I am using my moratorium power to stop all non-renewals and cancellations. Last night, I issued a bulletin to protect homeowners affected by the Palisades and Eaton fires from non-renewals and cancellations by your insurance companies for 1 year, under a moratorium law that I wrote while I was serving in the state Senate. This covers you even if your home wasn't destroyed or damaged in the wildfire. You can visit insurance.ca.gov to look up your zip code if you are near these wildfires and obtain that protection. I'm also calling on insurance companies to suspend any pending non-renewals and cancellations that homeowners received before these fires started. This means that if you've received a non-renewal from your homeowner's insurance between October 9th and January 7th, essentially 90 days, your insurance company should do the right thing and retain you as a valued policyholder. I call upon all property insurance companies to pause these non-renewals and cancellations and provide essential stability for our communities, allowing consumers to focus on what's important at the moment, their safety and recovery. In my notice, I also urged insurers to extend the payment grace period beyond the existing 60 days for policyholders in areas directly affected by the wildfires, enabling Angelenos to pay their home insurance premiums amidst the challenges that they are currently facing. And if your policy was not renewed, or if you don't have coverage, please call us at 1-800-927-4357. We can help you find additional solutions. I have also directed my department's enforcement team to protect Angelenos from fraudsters targeting wildfire survivors and to assist with the ongoing evacuation efforts. My department has moved quickly to host an insurance support workshop on January 18th and 19th at Santa Monica College, followed by another event the following weekend at Pasadena City College. We will have experts from our staff and representatives from insurance companies available so homeowners can obtain answers and take the action they need in one convenient location. Again, call us at 1-800-927-4357 to schedule a one-on-one appointment with our experts. Related to health, I've issued an additional notice to all California health insurers directing them to submit emergency plans to my department. These plans must detail how they're going to ensure that consumers can continue to access essential medical care and obtain their medications in the wake of these disasters. I've been in constant communication with our county leaders, governor, the legislative leaders, and our congressional delegation to identify best ways to expedite our recovery, reduce wildfire risk, and build a more climate resilient state and communities. Making homes and communities safer from wildfires needs to be a top priority for our state. Looking forward, I'm going to ask the governor and the state legislature to support my proposal to provide consumers with home hardening grants. We need to put money in people's hands. This measure is critical to protecting homes and improving long-term resilience against wildfire risk. We are also going to be
I need to hurry up and put that money in people's hands ASAP. They gonna need that.
The City of Los Angeles Fire Department is working on the Palisades fire, and then there's this second fire in Altadena that's broken out. That's right, we're talking about two different fires at this point. The Eaton fire is the one in Altadena. LA County Fire handling that one. We have standing by here David Acuna. He spoke with us about an hour ago. David is from CAL FIRE. David, thanks for sticking around. We just want to make sure we're covering all our bases as we traverse the night here. It's a rapidly developing situation. Last we talked, the Eaton fire had just started. Any updates as of now?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it just updated to now it's 4.
Of course, but this also causes communication challenges as well, doesn't it?
It absolutely does in a number of different ways. First of all communication towers operate on the basis of electricity. So if power lines in the area end up being severed by the fire, now there's no power. The backup generators certainly are in place, but at the same time, being that most cell phone and radio towers are at the top of hills, that puts them very vulnerable to a fire that rapidly progresses uphill.
When we talk about a rapidly moving situation like this, how do officials keep track of how this thing grows? How are they even able to measure the acreage of a fire in real time? How do they get it done?
Well, we have a lot of really good firefighters, fire captains, battalion chiefs who go out there and they're able to, in the first hour or two of time, they're able to look and estimate it. However, after a while, we have a remote sensing aircraft, either on contract or we own by the state, that is able to fly over and map it with infrared mapping, as well as determining what the size of the fire is. And if you look on our website at fire.ca.gov, we have populated that map that shows what the current fire size is and where there's significant fingers, especially on the Palisades fire where the embers are being blown quite a distance.
Yeah, so we see the map on our screen right now, and the orange is going to be the burn scar from the Palisades fire. One might assume that this will only expand and expand as the hours go by. What direction are the winds blowing, and what direction is this burn scar going to move as time progresses?
That really depends on how the winds travel. If they were to stay exactly the direction that they're currently going, it would progress in the way we see. However, if they shift to a more easterly route, then it's going to progress more towards more populated areas, which is entirely possible. The officials that are at scene are currently looking very closely at how the winds are moving on a moment-to-moment basis so they can begin to plan on where to protect the homes and, of course, most importantly, the people.
We know very well how populated this area is where the Palisades fire is burning. How about the Eaton fire? How close is that one to structures?
So the Eaton fire is already in and around structures. That's why we have the evacuation warnings and the evacuation orders. And it just depends on how we define structures. Sometimes we talk about them being like the electrical vaults, the generators we talked about with the repeaters. Sometimes it's a shed or a barn, and of course, sometimes they are homes.
Let's talk about some really wild images that we just saw live on our air moments ago, as it appeared a group of people were evacuating away from the danger zone with horses. Can you describe the chaos? And these pictures do a pretty damn good job of showing the chaotic situations that these people go through. But can you put it in your own words, what these people go through and what these families go through, what these animals go through when they are rushed out of these neighborhoods in these situations?
Austin, I completely agree. I don't think that I have any words that could do justice to that, how that difficult that family is on moving their horses out. What I can say is that it is clear that they did some pre-planning to make sure that their pets, and in this case livestock, were prepared to evacuate. While they're walking them out, because they may or may not be able to get their horse trailer out, at least they have a destination, and that's the most important part of the pre-plan.
So what is, and maybe this is a good time to talk about this, the winds are not going to be dying down in the immediate future. What advice do you have for LA, Southern California residents who are living in areas that are prone to fires?
Well, as we've already discussed, the National Weather Service is predicting that we're going to have these red flag conditions that are particularly dangerous from Ventura all the way to San Diego. So for everyone to be highly aware of what's going on, again, navigating to our website, fire.ca.gov. You can also navigate to readyforwildfire.org, where we have tips on evacuation plans, making an evacuation go bag. But most importantly is to make sure that they've planned to get themselves out as early as possible. So even if it's an evacuation warning, it's okay to leave early, particularly if you know that you've got a narrow one-way road or maybe just a two-lane road to get in and out. As we mentioned last hour, that large engines have to pass through there. If they can evacuate before the engines begin to make the streets congested, that's just going to make it easier for everyone involved, and which means ultimately safer.
We've already seen in the span of 2 hours, one extra fire break out. It's not out of the realm of possibility that we see more breakout overnight.
Well, unfortunately, 95% of all wildfires are started by humans. And so we just ask people to be very diligent to do one less spark, and it's a national program. As right now, if there were somebody who wanted to do some brush clearing, or they were looking to burn some of the hazard reduction fuels on their property, we're going to ask them not to do that right now. The winds are just too high. It's too easy for it to get out of control, so that our firefighters can focus on their current fires and not have to respond to new ones.
David Acuna of CAL FIRE, we appreciate everything you guys are doing. We'll be keeping up soon.
Thank you, sir.
Chrissy, thank you. With already full shelters here in San Diego, the San Diego Humane Society, they hit the road on Wednesday to bring relief to the shelters up in Pasadena. Jordan Fry is here to share how you can also help out. Jordan, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You guys are super busy. I think that said it all. We're full, yet we're going up there to help. How did that all come about?
It's been a busy couple days,
Yeah.
and of course the devastating fires were unexpected for everyone. We got a call from our partners at Pasadena
by what I'm seeing. Thanks again to the men and women in the Sheriff's Department, the Fire Department, CAL FIRE, all the fire departments that are here. And I specifically wanted to come see some of the stations that were from the 4th District. So some of my men and women from the 4th District are here. I talked to Norwalk, Paramount, I think Commerce is here. So I just wanted to tell them thank you for coming, and just make sure everybody realizes these firefighters are not going home, right? They are here round the clock. Appreciate everybody who's feeding them, who's making sure that they have an opportunity to sleep and take naps. Thank you for that. They have been amazing. But as Supervisor Barger said, as the chair of Metro, I've been on the phone with the CEO of Metro, Stephanie Wiggins, to get regular updates about our system. Big news is we will continue the free fares throughout the weekend. So free fares on our buses and trains through the weekend. Also, our system is very resilient. Since the fire started on Tuesday, only 2% of our buses have been canceled, none for the trains. And Metro will be unveiling this afternoon an overlay map that will show the evacuation centers around the county as it relates to the Metro system and stations. So that will be available to the public this afternoon. We know that keeping people moving, even during a disaster like that, is important. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Good day, everybody. My name is Don Fraguglia. I'm the Operations Section Chief for California Interagency Incident Management Team 5. I'm going to give you a quick operational update for the fire today. As it stands. You got me now. Okay, we're going to start over here on the right flank as we're looking up the hill here in Santa Anita Canyon as we come into the community of Sierra Madre. A lot of really good progress here along the fire's edge. Mop up.
Actively deployed to the fires in addition to our normal staffing for patrol-related functions throughout the county of Los Angeles. Deputies continue to assist our residents with evacuations. They are performing a lot of humanitarian missions. So many stories to share, don't have time right now. Providing food and blankets to people, rescuing people who unfortunately did not evacuate when they were asked to. So you've heard it over and over up here. A lot of the stories of heroic actions by our deputy sheriffs, police officers, or firefighters, a lot of them are taking place from people who did not choose to evacuate, putting their own lives at risk. So please, if you're asked to evacuate, because it's not only your life you're putting in danger. We continue to conduct roving patrols, manning hard road closures, providing security in evacuation areas to prevent anyone who may be tempted to engage in criminal behaving or behavior like looting. It was mentioned earlier before by the supervisor, and I'm going to make this crystal clear to everybody out there. Over last night and this morning, we are up to 20 individuals who chose to go into our areas and deprive these poor people who have been through so much of their property. Absolutely unacceptable. And I'm going to give direction to our department members. As you know, when we have an evacuation order by law, if you remain in that area, you are guilty of a misdemeanor. If you commit certain crimes, it could jump up to a felony. I'm going to be asking our employees to start enforcing that. That is very different than a curfew. Why? Because it's 24/7. I don't have to wait for the sun to go down or the sun to come up. If you are in one of these areas and you do not belong there, you are going to be subject to arrest. I hope that is as clear as I can make it, because our first choice isn't to do enforcement. It's not to make arrests. It's to help people. But if people choose to commit crimes, they're going to be held accountable. And the DA, who is standing next to me, will clarify even that a little bit further. This continues to be a fluid and evolving crisis, and the numbers that we release throughout this incident are going to fluctuate. So anything we say is subject to change. We're getting information from our boots on the ground. It's very chaotic out there because it's still so fluid. So forgive us if we give a number and then we have to modify those numbers. I talked about the 20 arrests that have been made so far. Unfortunately, I do expect that to go up. We're not going to tolerate that kind of activity. We have substantially increased our deployment of deputies at the fixed traffic post and are trying to limit and clear out any unauthorized vehicles or people in these areas. I do want to talk as we are summoning more resources. I have been in contact with the chief of the Office of Emergency Services for the state of California. Obviously, that's done at the direction of Governor Newsom. From the get-go of this, he has offered any and all resources to us in law enforcement, and they're doing the same for fire, but I'll specifically talk about policing. The California National Guard is on standby at our direction, specifically my direction, and we, along with my partner Jim McDonnell at the LAPD, are currently in discussions if we are going to need them or how we would deploy them as the hours go on. So stand by for that information as the hours tick on. Chief Maroney mentioned this regarding any death toll information. Yes, we had preliminary numbers yesterday. I got to be honest with you, as I reviewed some of those last night and this morning, I was not satisfied with some of the information that we're getting. And it's not the fault of our people. The people that are working under very difficult conditions are doing their best to do what they need to do. At one point, we'll be able to do a more thorough search of these impacted areas. Some of them look like a bomb was dropped in them, where we will be able to bring in canines and other things to help us hopefully not discover too many fatalities. That's our prayer. But this is a crisis, and we don't know what to expect, but we're ready for everything. So all information, at least on the county side of this equation, we're working with our coroner's office. We'll figure out those numbers. So be patient with us when you ask us about death toll numbers. Right now, frankly, we don't know yet. We eventually will. Evacuations overall for Palisades, Eaton, Hearst, and Lydia fires, the number in both county and city areas, evacuation orders are impacting 179,783 residents. That's nearly 180,000 people in Los Angeles County that are currently under evacuation orders, with another close to 200,000 residents that are under evacuation warnings. I cannot emphasize enough that I urge residents that are asked to evacuate to follow our warnings. I gave some examples earlier. I'm going out through my staff, hey, give me some stories where our deputies are just constantly putting their life on the line, and in every example I'm given is as a result of somebody who chose not to evacuate. I don't want to tell those stories anymore. I don't want to give stories of our first responders being injured, specifically our communities being injured. Please, if you're told to evacuate, evacuate. 2 of our sheriff substations are out of power, running on generators. That's both our Altadena and Crescentia Valley stations. They're right in the thick of things. They're engaged in all of the work that I've described. The issues of mutual aid. Will consistently evaluate and reevaluate the needs for more law enforcement personnel. But I can tell you, I'm getting calls from all over this region, from other sheriffs and police chiefs. Everybody wants to help. And that's awesome. That's part of our profession. Very proud to be part of it. The last thing I'll say is, for any specific information regarding evacuation orders or warnings or any road closures, and there's a lot of them, please go to lacounty.gov.
Y'all pray for the city of LA. We're going to get out of here, man. And for all you looters, if you get caught out there running and burning houses and trying to steal and blowing money off like it's candles, they're gonna take you to jail. You're going to jail. Y'all pray for the city of LA, man. Yeah, a lot of people done lost everything, and it's hard out here, y'all. So y'all get them prayers, man. It's Compton Rick Rock with Compton Rick Rock TV. Thought I'll let y'all know what's going on our side of town, man. Definitely need prayers for the city